Hello, students. Let's start our final revision session. We're going to take a calm, focused look at the chapter Resources and Development. My goal is to help you connect all the key concepts so you feel confident for your exams. Let's begin.
So, here's our plan for today. We will move step by step through these 6 topics. Following this structure will really help us see how all the ideas in the chapter build on one another, from the very basic definition of a resource all the way to why we must conserve them.
Okay, let's start at the very beginning with the most fundamental question. What exactly is a resource? Now please pay close attention to this definition. A resource isn't just anything. For something in our environment to be called a resource, it must satisfy 3 very important conditions. First, we need to have the technology to get to it. Second, it must be economically possible or feasible to use. And third, it must be culturally acceptable to our society.
And this diagram here, it illustrates a really crucial point. Resources are not just free gifts of nature. You see, human beings are right there, at the very center of this whole process. We use technology to interact with nature, and we create institutions to transform things from our environment into useful resources.
So now that we have a clear idea of what resources are and how we create them, let's move on to see how they are classified. This will help us to organize our understanding a little better. This flowchart gives us a very clear picture. You can see the first big division is between natural and human resources. Natural resources are then divided further into renewable and non-renewable. And human resources, well, that refers to the structures we build and also the population itself in terms of its quality and quantity.
To be even more specific, we can classify resources in 4 main ways. First, by their origin. Are they biotic, from living things like us, or are they abiotic, non-living things like rocks? Second, by their exhaustibility. Are they renewable, like solar energy, or non-renewable, like coal? Third, by ownership. Do they belong to an individual, a community, the nation, or the whole world? And fourth, by their status of development. Are they a potential resource that we aren't using yet, or are they a fully developed one? So, as a quick recap, we see that resources can be classified based on origin, exhaustibility, ownership, and status of development.
This brings us to a very, very important topic, the consequences of using all these resources and the serious problems that have come up from their misuse.
You see, the belief that resources are free gifts of nature has led to us using them without much thought. This has caused 3 major problems. First, the depletion of resources just to satisfy the greed of a few people. Second, the accumulation of resources in just a few hands, which divides our society into the haves and the have-nots. And third, all of this has led to global ecological crises like global warming and land degradation. The solution to these huge problems lies in a concept I am sure you have heard of: sustainable development. Please notice the 2 key parts of this definition. It means that development should not damage the environment, and it must not compromise the ability of our future generations to meet their own needs.
This very idea was discussed on a global stage at the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, way back in 1992. Here, more than 100 world leaders came together and they adopted something called Agenda 21. The main goal of Agenda 21 was to create a global plan for achieving sustainable development in the 21st century. So, to summarize, we must address resource overuse through sustainable development, a goal that is supported by global agreements like Agenda 21.
All right, now let's bring this entire discussion home to our own country, India. You know, given our vast size and diversity, resource planning is extremely critical for us.
This table really shows us why that planning is so essential. Just look at these examples. You have states like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh. They are rich in minerals and coal, but they lack good infrastructure. Then there's Arunachal Pradesh, which has plenty of water, but again, lacks infrastructure. And Rajasthan, it's blessed with solar and wind energy, but has a real scarcity of water. This kind of imbalance means we need very careful, balanced planning.
So, how is this done? Well, resource planning in India is a complex process with 3 key stages. The first is identification and inventory, which means surveying, mapping, and measuring the resources. The second is to evolve a planning structure with the right technology and institutions. And the third, very crucial step, is matching these resource development plans with our overall national development plans. Thus, balanced resource planning is absolutely essential in India to overcome this uneven distribution and make sure there's development for all.
Let's now focus on a specific and absolutely vital resource that we all depend on every single day of our lives: land.
The land in India has a variety of different relief features.
As this chart shows, about 43% of our land is plains, which are crucial for our agriculture and industry. Mountains make up about 30%, and they provide us with perennial rivers and tourism. And plateaus, at 27%, are a rich storehouse of minerals and fossil fuels.
However, our land is facing a very serious problem of degradation, and some of our own human activities are the major causes. For example, deforestation because of mining has caused severe degradation in states like Jharkhand. Overgrazing is a major reason in places like Gujarat and Rajasthan, and in states like Punjab and Haryana, over-irrigation leads to waterlogging and salinity in the soil. In short, while our land is divided into very useful plains, mountains, and plateaus, it faces serious degradation from these human activities.
From land, we now move to our final topic for this revision, and it is just as critical: soil. Please remember, soil is not just dirt. It is a living system and a very, very precious resource. Let's just have a quick look at this map. It shows the distribution of the major soil types in India. You can easily see the vast stretch of alluvial soil in our northern plains, the black soil of the Deccan Plateau, and the red and yellow soils in other parts of the peninsula.
This table is excellent for a quick revision. Let's see. Alluvial soil is our most fertile soil, and it's ideal for sugarcane, paddy, and wheat. Black soil, which is also known as Ragur soil, is excellent at holding moisture and is just perfect for growing cotton. And then we have laterite soil, found in areas with heavy rainfall, which is suitable for crops like tea, coffee, and cashew nuts.
Now, just like land, soil also faces degradation, and we call this soil erosion. This is basically the washing away of the topsoil. This image shows a very severe form called gully erosion, where you can see running water has cut deep channels into the land, making it completely unfit for cultivation.
Fortunately, there are effective methods to conserve our soil. These include things like contour plowing, which means plowing along the slope lines. There's terrace cultivation, which involves cutting steps into hillsides. We have strip cropping, where strips of grass are left between crops. And finally, planting shelter belts, which are rows of trees to break the force of the wind. So it's clear that understanding India's diverse soils and protecting them from erosion through proper conservation is absolutely critical for our country.
As we conclude our revision, let's just reflect on this very powerful thought from Mahatma Gandhi. It perfectly captures the essence of this whole chapter. There is enough for everybody's need and not for anybody's greed. This really is the core principle of resource conservation.
Please remember that what you have learned from this chapter isn't just to score marks in your exams. Your understanding today helps you to build a more responsible and sustainable tomorrow for everyone. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you all the very best.